Hey everybody, welcome to week 11. This is the week that we start our final unit, the SA3 unit. So I'm going to provide you with an overview of the whole unit, talking about the next 5 weeks, what to expect, that kind of thing, just like I do with each unit, as well as what you need to do this week during week 11. So I will share my screen and get started with the overview PowerPoint presentation. There we go. So as you see, our unit is divided into 5 weeks, week 11 through week 15. And these are the due dates that are in parentheses that you will see. So week 11, you have the video response due, just like you do with the beginning of each new unit. That will be due Sunday, April 3rd. Week 12 is the thesis and annotated bibliography. You know the drill. That is due Sunday, April 10th. Then your rough draft is due in week 13th on Sunday, April 17th, followed by the discussion board post, the counter argument rebuttal, which will be due Sunday, April 21st. And then we get to the end of the semester with your SA3, we call that the final project, due on May 1st. The end of the semester is May 2nd. So if you do need that extra day to get that final revision done and submitted, please do that. Be aware that I have very little leeway at the end of the semester as far as accepting late work. I really have to insist that you get your final essay in on time, because I have only so much room in which to calculate your final grades. They're due on a certain day. I'm going out of town right there at the end of the semester before the new semester, the summer semester begins. So I'm really going to be firm on that deadline. If you do not get that final essay in, you're going to be out of luck. Okay, so it's absolutely important. Do not submit it on May 4th. May 1st is the due date. If you are absolutely, totally struggling and you need the extra day to May 2nd, which is that following Monday, you have to email me. You have to let me know. And I have to say, yes, it's okay. If you don't get a response from me, it's because you either emailed the wrong person, you misspelled my name, I did not get the email, or you sent the email too late. I would need that email by, not by Sunday, May 1st, by Saturday, what is it, April 30th, I think. Email me no later than April 30th. That way I'm aware that you have something that's coming in on Monday, which is when I'm heading out of town. And then I can look at that Monday night, get all the grades done and submit everything before they're due. I can't believe we're at the end of the semester already. So this unit is dealing with the topic of social justice, and we are watching the video by Dr. Mary Bassett, the TED Talk, Why Your Doctor Should Care About Social Justice. So of course, that asks the question, what is social justice? So I looked up on Wikipedia because I thought it would be good to have the words there for you that you can refer to. Usually this is something that we would have a discussion in class, or if we were doing a live Zoom class, I'd have you journal about it for a little bit and then we'd have a discussion. But since this is an asynchronous class, excuse me, I need to provide you with some information since we don't have any discussion going on here. So social justice, according to Wikipedia, is defined as justice in terms of the distribution of wealth, opportunities, and privileges within a society. Further on in that article, they say that the United Nations calls social justice, quote, an underlying principle for peaceful and prosperous coexistence within and among nations. And even further on, they say the United Nations 2006 document, Social Justice in an Open World, the Role of the United Nations, states that, quote, social justice may be broadly understood as the fair and compassionate distribution of the fruits of economic growth. And I need to fix that, put the quote in there. So Dr. Bassett speaks about this issue of social justice, and her talk is very engaging, but there are a few points that I think need clarifying, because if you just watch the talk and you hear her speak, you understand a little bit, but I think it's good to provide you with more context. So as I said, Dr. Bassett, she's actually a medical doctor and is the director of the FXB Center for Health and Human Rights at Harvard University. At the time of this TED Talk, she was Health Commissioner of New York City from 2014 to 2018. And previously, she lived and worked in Zimbabwe from 1985 to 2002. So that's a long time span. And she was a part of the medical faculty at the University of Zimbabwe during that time. And that time period was one where many areas in Africa, but specifically Zimbabwe, was experiencing a humongous crisis with the rise of AIDS. So her capacity as a medical and a health person, she was there to teach people how to care for AIDS patients, how to help and educate. And so when you listen to the talk, you'll understand what she's talking about. This happened between the periods of 1985 to 2002. If you're interested in her academic profile from Harvard, there's a link here that you can hop to, and you can see all of her different publications, all of her qualifications. She's a very knowledgeable speaker, has a lot of experience working with people in desperate economic situations. So that's Dr. Mary Bassett. So the context of the talk, as she starts out by mentioning that she was living in Harare. We say, well, what the heck is Harare, right? Harare is actually the capital of Zimbabwe. And you see here on the map that Zimbabwe is way down in southeastern Africa, just a bit north of South Africa itself. And there was a period just before Bassett moved there where there was some civil strife. There was a war of independence, a civil war, which went from 1965 to about 1980. But then in the mid-1980s, as I said before, they were hit with the AIDS and HIV epidemic. So she was there in a capacity to help with public health initiatives and to do a lot of education and healthcare in that context. So there were a few things that she touches on in her talk. She speaks about Kofi Annan, and those of you may be too young to remember Kofi Annan. He was the former Secretary General of the United Nations. He was in that position from 1997 to 2006. He was also co-recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize in 2001. And I bring these points up just because she mentions Kofi Annan in a certain aspect relating to social justice. And as I said before, you saw the definitions from the United Nations. So this ties in with the things that Kofi Annan said that Bassett refers to in her talk. And one of those things is related to the Rwandan genocide. So you see here, again, on the continent of Africa, Rwanda is kind of in the middle of the continent, right? You see it here. It's, of course, right next to this humongous piece of land of the DRC. But it's quite a small country, but went through a period of incredible strife. So the genocide is defined as a deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic or religious group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. So there was 100 days between April 7th and July 15th in 1994, where the Tutsi and the Hutu ethnic group members were slaughtered by armed militias. And so there was this, it was like the tail end of the Rwandan Civil War, which went from 1990 to 1994. And so it's good to have an understanding of what was happening in that time period, what was happening to the people of Rwanda, and the comments that Kofi Annan talks about and how that relates to Bassett's talk. So again, that's just another point that I wanted you to understand before you actually go in and listen to the talk. Another thing that Bassett talks about is the Hippocratic Oath. And this is something that I think is important. You should know what this is, but just in case you don't know what it is, the Hippocratic Oath is an oath that physicians and medical students take. It's an oath of ethics. And the overlying ethos of it is first do no harm, right? That is the thing that physicians should keep in mind when they're caring for the patients, right? First do no harm. You're not out to harm your patients. There's also the ethics of medical confidentiality and the respect of the physician and patient relationship. So I wanted to define that for you as well, since Bassett brings up the Hippocratic Oath in the context of her talk. So those are just a few of the points that I wanted to share with you regarding Bassett's talk. Now, let's take a look at week 11 at Blackboard. So this week, I'm going to shrink the objectives down. The due date for the assignment is Sunday, April 3rd. So we have the context and the to-do list. Of course, this is the first week of the unit, so you are engaging with the text, which is actually the TED Talk, the video. So you're watching this overview and this lecture right now, and then I want you to go through the week 11 resources folder, which is down here. I'm going to slide it back up here. I don't know why I didn't do this before. So we have a week 11 resources folder that I will open up in a minute. And then you'll watch the TED Talk, what your doctor should care about, why your doctor should care about social justice, and then complete the assignment here, which you know the drill. This is just gauging your understanding of Bassett's talk, etc., so on and so forth. Here underneath the video, you will actually see the citations, the proper MLA citations for the video itself, as well as the transcript. So I have a link here that you can go to if you want to watch it outside of Blackboard. You don't want to watch the embedded link. And you can also access the transcript through this link. So we have the citation material for you there. So let's hop into week 11 resources and see what I have here for you. I actually have this PowerPoint that I just shared with you. I also have a link to the MLA Works Cited page, just as a reminder. Then I have a couple of things here. This one here, the Essay 3 Possible Topics. Again, this is something that kind of grew out of classroom discussion in previous sections that I've taught. So I have a list of some, I have 3 subcategories and a list of some questions that you can ponder. You, again, of course, are not tied to these topics or to these questions. But for those of you who struggle with coming up with a focus for your paper, I like to provide these because, you know, it can be tough sometimes coming up with something that you want to write about. So the 3 subcategories that I came up with were racism in healthcare, health equity, and COVID-19. And then the last one is market justice versus social justice. So I have a few questions here. As Health Commissioner of New York City, Dr. Bassett has seen how Black women and children have been affected by unequal access to healthcare. How or why Should infant and maternal mortality among Blacks be reduced in the US? Another question is, in the conclusion of her talk, Bassett issues the call to speak up about structural inequality. What is structural inequality, and is it apparent in American healthcare? And the last question is, does racism impact healthcare in the US? How? Health equity in COVID-19. Bassett addresses the issue faced during the AIDS epidemic in Africa, where Western treatment for the virus, quote, was unaffordable to the public sector across Africa, end quote. Knowing that the US has made progress in effective treatments for COVID-19, should the government subsidize the cost of COVID-19 treatment to make it available to the general public? Now, since I first came up with this question, the government has been a bit more active with the transition of the presidents. They've been a little bit more active in trying to make things equitable and equal as far as being cared for with COVID-19, but you could still go in the COVID-19 direction if you want to. Health equity, you could also, if it really interests you, you could write about HIV and AIDS if you want to, because that is related to what she was talking about in her talk. And then in this last category, market justice versus social justice. Dr. Bassett begins her talk by discussing Zimbabwe's national health policy of socialized healthcare and the progress the country has made in bringing services to its underserved population. Is socialized medicine a good thing? If you are interested in exploring that topic, that might be a question that you can think about. And the last one here, in her talk, Bassett asserts that the role of health professionals, quote, is not just to treat our patients, but to sound the alarm for change. Do doctors and healthcare workers have a duty to be advocates and to call out social injustice? So those are some topics that you could work with. Of course, I'm open to you exploring other topics as long as they're related. I have this research guide, the library guide research here. I don't think I'm going to use that for you. That was more for a live class, and I just kind of copied some things over. So these are the three resources that are available to you in the Week 11 resources folder. So once again, a reminder to get those questions done. You can submit them either as a document or in the text submission area of the assignment page. Again, you can write your submission or you can attach your file and then submit. Either way is fine for this assignment. But as usual with other written assignments, I do ask that you submit a document and you upload that document, because it just makes it easier for me to make comments and corrections, whereas I can't do that when you just write the submission in that text submission area. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me. I will be around. You know, I have my office hours, my regular office hours, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 11 to 12, but I am also available outside of those hours. I just need a little bit of a heads up, a little bit of advance notice so that I can arrange my schedule and make sure that you have my full attention. So good luck with the video. I hope you enjoy it. I think she's a very eloquent speaker. And I think this is a really interesting topic for us to be exploring as the final paper, this whole idea of social justice. So take care, everybody, and have a great week. Bye-bye.